Hello and welcome back to Brockport Sports Talk. I'm Jack.
And I'm Zach.
And we're here to talk about football, basketball, baseball, and whatever else we feel like talking about. Take it away, Zach.
Well, Jack, what a week it was in the NFL this week. First off, most likely the upset of the year. The 1-6 Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the 5-2 Buffalo Bills 9-6 on Sunday. Josh Allen had 3 turnovers in the game, and one of them was to Josh Allen of the Jaguars. The Jags defense didn't allow a single touchdown. And as you know, I predicted that the Jags would win this game.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on the game, and what can the Bills do to bounce back?
Well, Zach, I speak for every other person in the world when I say that we did not predict that this game would go this way. We did not see this coming. The Bills have showed signs of weakness on offense, but nothing to this level. I think losing offensive guard John Feliciano, led to a lot of problems for that offensive line. And, that's basically what this game came down to for me. They lost the fight right at the line of scrimmage. And when you're losing that fight, when you're getting dominated by the defensive line, it's hard to get anything going. When Josh Allen is left with, that little time, he tends to revert to his rookie form sometimes, and that's where you saw those turnovers, those bad plays, and that's just what led to Jacksonville beating them. As far as them, recovering and getting back, they kind of need to go back to the drawing board a bit. They need to figure out things from an offensive play calling standpoint and figure out how to adjust to the offensive line without Feliciano. What do you think, Zach? What do you think about the Jaguars and the Bills?
Well, look, I wasn't sold on the Bills coming into this year. I especially after these last 2 weeks, struggled against Miami, struggled against Jacksonville. The Bills really got to show me something, and I think show the NFL something, because right now if they keep playing like this, they're not going to go very far. And I think Josh Allen does need to improve as well. He's looked pretty bad the last couple of games. And for the Jags, I think just keep playing well on defense, and I don't think they're going to win many ball games. As you know, they're 2-6, but if they played like they did yesterday and shut down that Bills offense, I think they can win probably 4 or 5 games.
Their defensive line just looked dominant that game. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that from a 1-win team coming that late in the season like that. It was pretty crazy. I would say, as far as Josh Allen, I think he's been really good. He has not been in his MVP form, obviously, as he was last season, but he's been pretty solid. And the Jaguars, hopefully, that is the worst that comes from him this season. It just wasn't a good game, Zach.
No, the Jags are not a team to sleep on either. Right. Well, the Arizona Cardinals blew out the San Francisco 49ers 31-17. Now, Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins were both inactive for the game. The Cardinals currently have the best record in the NFL right now with an 8-1 record. Jack, what is your view on how the Cardinals have been performing this year?
Well, the Cardinals, when you take down a team like the 49ers like that without your top 2 offensive superstars, without Kyler Murray, it speaks a lot to the coaching, the defense, and the play calling that you've got going. And I think that win, the 49ers, they're not going to be a playoff team, but they're certainly no slouch. It's not like a Jaguars type team that coming into this week. But so that's an impressive win, and I think it just shines a little bit more light on the Arizona Cardinals. And they're more than just Kyler Murray and Hopkins. Their defense, their offensive play calling, the line is pretty good, pretty solid. What do you feel about the Cardinals? I know you said before that do you still believe they are your favorite in the NFC?
Oh, absolutely. Especially the defense has been surprising this year. Especially since they didn't have that great of a year last year. I mean, to come out firing like they have, and I don't think anybody figured that this Cardinals team would be 8-1. But I mean, they've been impressive. Hopkins, he's a top receiver still. Kyler Murray, he's playing at an MVP level, and the Cardinals are definitely still my pick to go to and win the Super Bowl. So.
Now, Zach, the Rams, who we just talked about, coming off a hard loss where they looked out of form just this afternoon, announced Odell Beckham Jr. signing with Los Angeles, cut by the Cleveland Browns. He goes through the waiver wire. Nobody picks him up, so he gets his pick of where for where he wants to go, and he chooses Los Angeles. Obviously, they've got Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods in that receiver group, and they've got, of course, Aaron Donald just tearing things up, and, I mean, just a stacked team. Zach, what are your thoughts on how this changes their offense and their chances at the Super Bowl this season?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. With the addition of Odell Beckham Jr., man, he is one heck of a receiver. I think now that I think his career is going to go right back up to where it was when he was with the Giants. Especially now that he's got Matthew Stafford throwing him the ball, like that other receiving core and the defense. I think this Rams team is definitely going to threaten the Cardinals for the Super Bowl. So this Rams team looks really good, and now with the addition of Odell, I think they've even got a better chance now. So.
Yeah. For me, on Odell Beckham, I think he's a very talented wide receiver. I think his Browns days, there's just something weird there. You hear the rumors about Odell Beckham Jr. I think overall it came down to there was a chemistry issue for whatever reason with Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield that just could not be figured out. We saw it for several years there. And it's just rough. You saw he was open. He doesn't get thrown to him. He's throwing to. He's dropping balls. There's clearly just the trust isn't quite there. So I think going with the Rams, going with Stafford, McVay over there, he just knows how to use offensive weapons. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. So I see no negative here for the Rams. I don't know if Odell Beckham is going to be making those one-handed catches, in the end zone like he was with the Giants. But, I think he's going to be a very solid wide receiver. But, surprisingly, Zach, we get more free agent news this week. Sam Darnold's injury for the Panthers has brought them back to a familiar face. Former franchise QB Cam Newton signed a one-year deal with Carolina today. He previously played 9 seasons with the Panthers from 2011 to 2019. Former MVP, former Rookie of the Year, brought them to the Super Bowl in 2015 that they ultimately lost to the Broncos. Now, Zach, it's been 2 seasons since they moved on from Newton, and in those seasons, they've traded for Teddy Bridgewater, had him play the 2020 season, traded him away, got Sam Darnold, traded for him, exercised that 5th-year option to get for a $18.9 million next year to have control. And he has struggled a lot this season. And now they turn to their former QB and look to turn back the clock a bit. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first off, I knew Sam Darnold wasn't the answer for the Panthers. The past few seasons, Darnold has not looked good. And I think, to be honest with you, after this injury, I think his career as a starter is pretty much over with. He's turning the ball over way too much, and I think he's hurting his teams more than he's helping them. But with the addition of Cam Newton back, I don't think he'll go back to his form that he was when he was first with them, but I definitely think he'll be pretty solid with the Panthers and definitely help them win more games.
Yeah, I think that Cam Newton, I loved Cam Newton. He was one of my favorite players, throughout that MVP run and that original run with the Panthers. I thought he was exciting, athletic, just fun to watch. He's a great athlete and just a great QB to watch. But I think those years, they're gone.
Yeah, I don't think he's that quarterback anymore.
No,
I really don't.
I mean, for what he did in New England, specifically, I saw him in that second Bills game. I believe it was at their stadium, a home game, and it was a bad game. He just looked bad. It was just like he was out of it. The injuries catch up, when you put that much stress on your body. Being the type of QB that he is, I think that, I just don't see him really winning teams' football games anymore, unfortunately, as much as he's, one of my favorite players, You gotta look in the lines a bit and see, writings on the wall. Joining us here today, we've got fellow baseball fan and friend Michael Tamaro. MLB free agency is looking to kick into gear soon, and Sports Illustrated released what they believe to be the top 50 free agents in the 2021 class. Leading off the list, we've got the likes of Carlos Correa, alongside Corey Seager, Freddie Freeman, Max Scherzer, and Chris Bryant, also in the top 10. What are your guys' thoughts on this year's free agent class, and do you believe players are ending up anywhere. What are your predictions for where they could end up? And we'll start with you, Zach.
Well, when you're talking about, Max Scherzer and Chris Bryant, I think they're going to stay with, the Giants and the Dodgers. I definitely think those two played a huge role in their postseason success and their regular season success. So I definitely think they'll get contracts with those teams. But as for Carlos Correa, I believe a great spot for him to end up is in Seattle. Seattle's, as you know, this year they were, just almost there of getting into the playoffs and breaking their 19-year playoff drought. So I think with the addition of Carlos Correa in that lineup, I definitely think he'll get them over that hump and get them into the playoffs.
Yeah. My only reservation about that, I think Carlos Correa could be a very good fit, but the Mariners have shown, their management has been cheap over the years with that, and Carlos Correa, he's going to get a pretty penny, probably going to be the highest paid free agent. I definitely think, Freddie Freeman will stay with the Braves. It would be a pretty rough loss for them if, the top Brave ends up leaving after the World Series. But what is your opinion, Michael? Do you have any takes on where you think anybody's going to end up?
Yeah, specifically for Carlos Correa, yes, he is the top free agent in this market. Yes, I also think he should be going to the Yankees. And why is that? He is one of the best hitters and best defenders for all shortstops. And the Yankees, they lack shortstop. Before Gleyber Torres, we had Didi Gregorius, Brendan Ryan, Derek Jeter.
Brendan Ryan.
Love that. Love that
Brendan
shout.
Ryan, yes. Derek Jeter. And Derek Jeter was a shortstop for how many years? And, he wasn't known to be a great defender. The metrics say that, despite him winning Gold Gloves. And, the Yankees didn't want to move him either because, it's Derek Jeter and stuff. But, they never really had a good defensive shortstop. After Didi, they moved Gleyber to shortstop, but he is not a good defender either. And it was so bad that they actually moved him back to second base, and Gio Urshela was moved to shortstop. And yes, for Correa, I understand the Yankees fans have disdain for him because he was part of cheating Astros, but I don't think that should be a factor for why they shouldn't get him. I mean, you're going to not want to play on the Yankees just because he cheated? I mean, there's no guarantee you would be in the Dodgers either,
No guarantee that the Yankees haven't cheated either, knock on wood. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Carlos Correa, he's one of the best players in the American League. I think, you can make an argument he's the best shortstop in the entire league, He's very good, MVP level. And to miss out on a player like that because of, the cheating scandal, I understand, the reservations fans have, but he's too talented, and the Yankees have had too much struggles with that shortstop position, specifically with Gleyber Torres these past couple years, for them to miss out on this type of talent. Zach, I understand you have some reservations. You seem like you're chomping at the bit here to get them out, so why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Carlos Correa ever since that cheating incident. Being a big Yankee fan, it still hurts. So
Still hurts,
I don't want him to come to the Yankees, and I hope he doesn't come to the Yankees. Quite frankly, I think he should stay in Houston with all the other cheaters.
So with that, would you say that you would want what aspect would you want the Yankees to go after then? Would you want them to go after Seager?
I would, yeah. I think Seager would be a very good, part of the lineup. I mean, he's lefty, that short porch in Yankee Stadium.
That's true.
Be a big power addition to them. I mean, he had a great year last year. He hit 306, 16 home runs, 57 runs batted in, and he's in the prime of his career. But another team I think Corey Seager could go to is possibly the Detroit Tigers. As you know, that organization has struggled for many years, and I think he would definitely be a great addition to the Tigers lineup, and I think he would definitely help them win a lot of ball games in 2022.
Yeah. But Michael, I understand you're a big basketball fan. We brought you here to, not only discuss baseball, to bring some basketball expertise to this show. We're not as knowledgeable in basketball, so why don't you take it away, Mike? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so first I have the Nikola Jokic and Markieff Morris incident. So I believe it was 2 nights ago. So the Nuggets were playing the Heat. The Nuggets were up by I think double digits towards the end of the fourth. So Jokic brings up the ball to half court. Morris comes up to him. I guess he's trying to foul him, but he elbows him in the head. And Jokic did not like that at all. And what he did was he went up to Morris, shoved him in the back, his spine, and he fell to the ground. And benches cleared and stuff. People were pissed. Both Morris brothers, Markieff has a twin brother named Marcus Morris. He plays for the Clippers. And they're known to incite stuff like this. I mean, I remember one time a few years ago when Marcus Morris was the Knicks. They were playing against the Wizards in preseason, and he had the ball in one possession, and he elbowed a guy in the head. He ended up getting ejected from the game. Mm-hmm. And from this incident, I think Jokic got suspended 1 game, and Morris got suspended a few $1,000s. I also saw another thing that, Jokic has 2 brothers, and so it appeared to be on social media, Twitter specifically, the brothers, they made a Twitter account. And, Morris tweeted something about the incident, and the brothers seem to have, replied to that in anger. So, that's a lot of bad blood coming. I'd love to see what's going to happen the next time they play.
Well, talk about the Twitter account. I found that hilarious. They had, they just made, a new Twitter account with the the Jokic brothers, and didn't even put up a profile pic, and were basically like, hey, come try us, Morris twins. But it feels like to me, just Morris, he messed around and he found out, he came in, he instigates something with Jokic, and Jokic didn't play, he just went right for him. You can argue that, an MVP, blowing them out, that he doesn't need to go for that. But, Morris instigated it. He ends up, Jokic only gets the suspension. Like you said, Morris gets fined some $1,000, but just not a hit at all when you've got the money that an NBA player does. So I would say, it's a situation where, Morris, I think, deserves more of a penalty than Jokic does. And I would say, Jokic does not need to be doing that when he's, MVP and he's leading that team. What's your thoughts, Zach?
Well, the lesson we learned from that is don't mess with Jokic. That's the lesson we learned from that. I think that whole incident was just bad, and I hope both players, learn the lessons. I mean, they're popular stars in the NBA, and can't be acting like that, especially with the suspensions. It's going to hurt the team. So. Mm-hmm.
Jack, I wanted on your point that you said that Morris deserves more punishment than Jokic. I kind of disagree with that. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, it's wrong that Morris shouldn't have basically hit him like that, but Jokic went up to a guy who was back turned and shoves him. I mean, that could have been like a serious injury.
Maybe I shouldn't say he deserves more punishment, because I'm not sure if I totally believe that, but I believe he should have more punishment than he got. I would give it similar to Jokic, just because he was the instigator in that sense. You see in hockey and other sports, the instigator usually gets a similar penalty to the retaliator. So I think Jokic didn't deserve to be maybe kicked out of that game, or just whatever. But I did find it funny how Morris, you see him on Twitter afterwards, or maybe it was through post-game comments, and I just saw it on Twitter, that he's like, we're built different over here, but he was on the ground, for 10 minutes afterwards, and he didn't even really go after Jokic. You see, Jimmy Butler mouthing off a bit, I like him as a player, but he's kind of across the court being catch me outside, when he didn't do anything, getting up close to Jokic or anything like that. So it's a very interesting situation, I'll say on that.
So next we have the Knicks, which is my favorite team, as you can tell, because I have repping my Obi Toppin jersey. So the Knicks are currently 7-5 on the season, and that makes it a 7 seed, I believe. But I know it's early in the season, but 7 seed, it would the new play-in rules, and it's the 7 seed plays the 8 seed, and then the 9 seed plays the 10 seed. And, winner 7 seed goes to the playoffs, the loser of the 8 seed plays the 9 to 10, and then, whoever wins that,
Still
playoffs.
Confusing to me. I think
I know.
I get it more fully now, but it was, when they're trying to explain it to me, or they were trying to explain it last season, it was almost like rocket science for some reason. I don't know,
Yeah, it's just, they just changed those rules. Uh-huh. But anyway, about the Knicks, this past all season, they had offensive struggles, and they had one of the best defenses in the league. They had, guys like Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock, Randall leading the defense. But, this season, they let Payton go, Bullock go, and they got guys like Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. So far this season, like I said, they're 7-5. their offense has, shown that they can take threes and make them, unlike past Knicks teams. But this year, their defense has taken quite a dip. They went from the third rank to I think it's 26th, I think. Mm-hmm. I just want to know what happened from last season. It's pretty much almost the same exact team except a few guys maybe. Tom Thibodeau is still the coach and stuff. I just want to know what happened for so far. You have any thoughts on that?
Somebody like Tom Thibodeau, coming in with the same players. He's somebody, preaches defense, putting players out for, long amount of times, making sure they're playing on both ends. He wears players down, that's been recorded throughout his coaching tenures. And I think, maybe it's smaller sample sizes, maybe getting the new players acclimated, like you said, Kemba Walker. Overall, I think the Knicks, I just don't know if they're going to be much better than they were last season. Maybe even worse. We see with this small sample size, they're down to the 7th seed. And, I think they've definitely got a chance to, win a first-round matchup in that East. But I don't see them, competing with even teams like the Miami Heat, throughout the season. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Well, the Knicks have been bad for years, and I think this is a continuation of it. You said, well, what's going on? It's the same team. Well, clearly it's not, because they've regressed a lot, especially, dropping from, you said, 7th to 26th. That I don't think the Knicks are going to do anything this season. So.
Well, do you think they could be that bad? I think guys like Ricky Rubio, who's known for a role player his entire career, he scores 37 points on 9 threes. He has never done that in his career. And the other day, he let Pat Connaughton of the Bucks make 7 threes. Is that even sustainable with how many points they've given up? What are your guys' thoughts on that, Jack?
Like I was just saying, it's small sample sizes. It's so early in the season that when you see things like Pat Connaughton or Ricky Rubio popping off like that, you're like
I can't get over that.
You're like, ooh, could something be happening this season? Could we see role players do this, do that, or whatever? But it's probably gonna end up that I think the Knicks are gonna be similar, if not maybe a bit worse. Maybe Kemba Walker, the changes that they made don't quite work out, but I don't see them, being out of the playoffs, especially, if we count the play-in the 9th and 10th seeds as the playoffs now. I definitely don't see them falling below that.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for Brockport Sports Talk. I'm Zach.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Mike.